Awesome. Yeah, so we're gonna record this today, and we'll kind of let people in. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna keep letting some people in here as we're going, and we're probably gonna get more people coming in since I just launched this thing on Facebook. It's on our X team group. TJ, I'll be adding you to that. We've got several groups within our EXP group on Facebook that you can plug into for coaching, our masterminds on Monday. So I really wish I could figure out a way to not have to admit people. I can just let them in. And what I'm going to do is probably mute. Wait, there's another one. Everyone's joining in. Man, this is going to be fun. We're going to get to it in a minute. I actually made a slide deck for this. I was so pumped about this topic today. And we are going to be covering it. And let's see, let me get on. So we're live on the X team. This is my first time doing Zoom through the X team. And I'm sure Jenny Williams and several people are going to be like, what the hell are you doing? And Gusty couldn't join us. He's actually on a mastermind right now with a bunch of the big dogs that recruited a high level. Sophia's on, Raman's on. I'm going to mute Raman. I'm going to change Maddie Benchwick, aka TJ. I'm going to change your name. If you guys will all meet TJ Vines, he is our newest agent in the Auburn market.
What's up? Hey,
how's it going?
So TJ is a machine. TJ has a landscaping company, so you're now our preferred landscape company.
There we go.
And he's also been in car sales, and we are pumped to have you, man. Welcome to our organization, man. This is gonna be fun. You're gonna learn a ton today. Since we're already recording, I'm gonna see if I can't get my slide deck pulled up. I literally just made it. I don't even know if I've saved it. Let's see. Let's save. Yep, I haven't even saved it. Let's call this one production. And we're gonna save this bad boy to my desktop. And then we're gonna talk you guys through everything I'm doing on my computer. Hold on. Files. Let's go on.
I know for all the team members that are on here that are on the acuff weekly group, I mean, I cannot wait to tell y'all about the stuff we have learned in Dallas. I think there are at least 8 nuggets of information that are just game changer.
Yes, 100%. This is we just need to make sure that everybody is at this.
Yeah, it's incredible.
All right, so I don't know. I'm just going to share this thing, and we'll kind of go through it. I'll probably ruin everything and show you guys everything that's going on. Oh, sorry, we got Matt coming back on. Matt is once Matt gets on here, he can maybe not hear me. I don't know, but Matt is one of our new agents too. So you guys welcome Matt Walker. You guys may know him. He is local to Auburn. He works in the beverage industry. You guys probably, everyone probably knows his brother-in-law, who's David Bancroft, and he's worked in the restaurant industry. Carter is his sponsor with EXP, so excited to see what Matt's going to bring to the table and how he's going to grow his business. So really, really excited to have you guys on here. This is really going to pump you guys up to start taking your business to the next level, right? So let me share my screen. You guys can probably see this, and I'm just gonna. So this is gonna sound a little familiar to what Carter has done. I'm gonna mute everybody. Hold on. Let me do that real quick. We gotta mute everybody. Zoom. I'm sharing my screen. Stop share. And I'm gonna mute TJ. Oh, so I gotta mute. Okay, everyone else is muted. Okay, so basically, what I thought would be the best for our group, and it's a guy named Orlando got on got on stage and was talking about what do you want as an agent? And the most important, I mean, what do you know, like, it's really kind of cool. So like whenever I just talked to TJ, I talked to Matt, I talked to everyone. Whenever you come on to EXP, one of the most important questions is to find out, what do you want, right? What do you want to get out of this? What do you have for the end in mind? And really the number one thing that people want when they come into the real estate industry is production. And production is the key, right? So you want to build production, you want to build a business, and a lot of times most agents struggle with production. It's the hardest thing for most people. It's very much more mental than anything. And so what this talk is today is really you can jump in if you guys want to unmute yourself if you want to talk about it. Carter was in the room and listening to this, but I really just want to touch on these three things because what I loved about what Orlando did is he simplified it. He very much simplified it. And he was talking about, if you want production, there's three things that you need to do to really build your production in your business. And the reason why I made the slide deck is because I didn't want to look down all day and stare at this piece of paper. So I'm going to have it on the screen here for everybody. And so we're going to talk about transformation, your habits, and your environment. And what do those three things mean and why? So in order for you to really produce, you've got to learn to transform your mind. You have got to learn to build your thoughts in your mind for what you want to become, right? So you have to transform yourself before you can have everything you want in life, right? So if you want to be a producer, you have to act like a producer. Like, I mean, you just don't get to the top rung of the ladder by just being there, right? Or just happen to be there. You have to climb your way there, right? So you've got to know where you're going, and you have to act like that. So you've got to build your mind and your thoughts around being a production agent. You have to build your mind to be strong, to be resilient. And one thing that I love that another person touched on, this wasn't actually a part of his presentation, but someone touched on be, do, and have. And I've totally heard this before, and it's really about personal success more than anything. And it's about becoming the person that you want to be before you are the person, okay? So you have to make sure you put the things in the right order, because at the end of the day, if you're saying poor me, it's because you treated yourself as poor me from the very beginning. But if you say I am rich, I am a producer, I am a giver of, I create wealth, I give opportunity, you have to be that person. You have to fake it till you make it, if you want to say that, right? So you've got to become the agent in your mind and your thoughts that you want to become, and do what it takes. And a lot of people have a real big issue with this. They want to do what everybody else is doing. And I can show you a million ways to do this business, right? But you have to do what it takes for yourself. On our team, we have scorecards, and we try to set minimum standards for what those contacts look like, because real estate's very much a contact sport, and we have to adjust those. Some people on our team can convert at a really high level. Some people are still learning that skill set. So some people may convert in 40 contacts. Some people may convert in 80 contacts, 100 contacts. You just have to do what it takes. And that's what I learned really early on in real estate, because I was very much a cold caller and a door knocker. I knew that every 14 doors I door knocked, I'm going to talk to somebody. And out of everybody that I talked to, out of 20, I'm going to create a really good relationship. So just do the math on that. So 14 times 20 is how I would create one really good relationship. And that's actually how I got one of my very first investment properties. And so doing what it takes and figuring out what it takes. So you don't really know your numbers until you actually put in the effort. And it's really, really hard to understand because we can talk about it all day, but it's good to have really benchmarks at the beginning. And then you really have to dig back into the data set and say, okay, how did I do versus, he says 40 contacts, but in reality, it took me 60, 80 contacts to really create, to get someone to convert into a real buyer that's buying a home today, and that way. And so you have to become the agent. You have to do what it takes in order to have what you've earned. And that's really, really important. Most people get into real estate they look at production and they want to have everything. They want to have 36 transactions, but what they don't want to do is they don't want to do what it takes to create 36 transactions. They can't do the math. So if it took me 14 homes to door knock to create one relationship, if I do that math and I get it to 36, imagine the amount of massive action that I would have to take on a daily basis to create the person in the business that I want to be with the end in mind. And so really work on transformation and working on yourself and building yourself to the person you want to be. And it really does start with your mind and your thoughts. And I highly suggest and urge every one of you guys to make sure that you are feeding your mind. You are feeding it. Don't just tell yourself every day. You can wish and think all you want, but you have to model success. You have to go find others that have done it before you. Don't reinvent the wheel. It's very important that you see other people that have transformed themselves. If you need a full list or suggestion of people to go watch or listen to on YouTube or podcasts, I tell everyone I'm the child of podcast. I'm the realtor of podcast, and that is very, very important to me. To make sure that I'm sharing that information. So if you guys want a list of that, we'll talk about it at the end. We can talk about the end, or we can talk about it after this. Any questions or thoughts on transformation? You guys can unmute yourself. Carter, what was your takeaway?
Oh, there we go.
Yep.
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway for me was in order to change your mind, the self-affirmation, kind of like the Asian guy that was like, I am a beast. And he just screamed that, but it was such a good thing that, he woke up. Some people do meditation. Some people do, diving into podcasts, or you have your daily routine, but those are the ways that you can transform yourself. I thought that was pretty impactful. It's something that I've thought about and I've done on occasion, but getting more of I know the next one's habit, but building a habit to transform yourself and committing to that is the true transformation and just commitment to transforming. So I thought that was amazing. Literally just trying to think of yourself as just a second away from just being a killer. You know what I mean? Like, just like, man, I'm just so close to just everything I've been doing, really working out and just having confidence in the fact that you know what you're doing. I think that's another way to transform, is just through confidence and surrounding yourself with people that are literally doing the right thing, even though it may not be producing results today, tomorrow, or next week, but results, and trusting the process that it's gonna ultimately transform yourself into getting results and new listings or new buyers, or I don't know. It's a whole mindset shift of trusting the process, really.
Good deal. Let me see. Go ahead.
So, and I mean, I think a lot of people think this sometimes too, but like, is there ever, I guess, a time that you'd say like, it's to stop telling yourself like it's too late to change the habits? Because I feel like a lot of times, a lot of people get into like a groove, or they've like not closed anything for a while, or not had anything under contract, or made those touch points. And it's like, well, I've been doing it for so long. It's just it's too late to change those ways now, if that makes sense.
No, try something different. That's what I'd say.
Yeah.
Try something different.
I mean, look, and this is something we did learn in this meeting is hyper failure. And I love that. I always tell people, man, fail fast, fail really fast and get it over with. And because the faster you fail, the faster you're going to figure out what works for you, right? I mean, it's not about doing what everybody else does at a high level. It's about doing what you do at a high level, right? And so learn to fail fast. But Levi Lasik was talking about hyper failure, and I love that. He was saying, you can go. What was that quote that they were talking about, Carter? You can go fast and you can fail fast, or you can go slow and die, or something like that. But it was all about really moving quickly.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I think what Alex is talking about is it's hard to transform yourself when you get stuck in a rut. You feel like everything that you're doing that you think is the right way is not working. Transforming is also like opening your mind to other opportunities. These masterminds are a good way to transform, but it's just forcing yourself to try to be open-minded and go, hey, look, something's just not working about this. Like, and then just admitting this is not working. What I'm doing is not working. How do I change? So
I think it's like that kind of having that kind of self-awareness of like, okay, this is not working and I need to change that, but it's okay to try something again later, even if it didn't work the first time, because it could work better later.
That's right.
Okay.
Awesome. So we're going to move into the second part of this. Part of your production is habits and creating habits. So what I did is I actually just went through and I thought about like all the things that we've learned this week, but all the things that I've always personally thought of as far as creating habits. And I'm very much, I'm like a squirrel mind. So whenever I look at this, I want to go through these one at a time. And so creating habits, one of the best ways is to focus and cultivate deep work. So what is deep work? I think one of the biggest things about the real estate industry when you get into it is that you're so focused on doing everything really good. Everybody wants to do everything really, really good. There's a book called Deep Work, and it's about going deep on one thing. There's also another book that helped me very much build this into real estate before I read Deep Work by Cal Necht is The One Thing by Gary Keller. It was one of the best books that I ever read, and he talks about going deep on one thing. Like if you want a cold call, go hard on cold calling. Give yourself the opportunity to get really, really hyper fail at it and get really, really good at it, right? So continue to rock and roll. If your thing is Facebook, for example, we met a guy, what was that? It was like a 50, 25, and 1 rule, is that he would like or love 50 people's posts. He would comment on 20 people's posts, and he would do 5 DMs every single day. And the Facebook algorithm loves that. And so
right.
what he's doing is by doing those steps, Facebook is now promoting or pushing his content that he posts on his business page or his personal page. Whenever he reposts it from his business page or from his personal page, they are promoting that. So that is going super deep on Facebook because that is a real commitment to do something like that. I've always heard that, but it's kind of cool when you run into somebody that's doing it at a super high level. He's like, dude, we do 36 extra transactions from Facebook a year by doing that, and then going into referral groups and messaging people. So, and they're absolute machines. And so cultivating deep work. And so what else does that mean? There's a million different ways to skin a cat in real estate. You can go for sell by owners. Right now, you're going to get expireds. You're going to get withdrawn listings. There's a lot of opportunity. Everyone here is preaching that it is by far the best time to get into real estate. And a couple things that we were talking about yesterday is we are coming out of a stage of very easy real estate where everyone can do a deal in real estate. It was more about, I call it the hunter-gatherer, and people in my office have heard me talk about this, is that we've gone through 2 years of gathering deals. I mean, if you had a real estate license, you were doing a deal because people just needed an agent. Now we're in a phase where the agents are having to learn to be hunters. They're having to build skill sets. They're having to do deep work and pick a niche and focus on it and be really, really highly skilled at that. If there's a niche that you guys want to be really, really skilled at, I'm pretty sure I have something on it. I've got a ton of training on pretty much almost every subject there is in real estate. So if you guys want to talk or schedule a call after this and get on the calendar and have 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever you need, I will pour into you whatever we can on whatever subject or niche you want to get into. So cultivate deep work. Distractions. This is something I learned recently is I read a book, Organize Tomorrow Today, and it's really about focusing your focusing your day and prioritizing what is going to move the needle, the most important things. A lot of times those are the what I call eating the frog every day. So pick the items that aren't the easy, that you're not looking for easy or hard. You're looking for the things that are going to move the needle in your business. So if that's talking to 10 people, doing that first, getting it over with. So and then keeping the distractions on a running list. So that's kind of where I'm getting with this, is that so now every day I pick 3 things that I want to do, and I circle the most important thing that has to be done today. And the other 2, I'm trying to get them done as fast as possible. But then I keep a running list of all the distractions, all the things that are necessary, but not urgent, right? And so I'm working through those as the day goes on, but I prioritized my time to be highly focused. I call it winning the day by noon. So making sure that you've set yourself up to win the day by noon. If you can win the day by noon in real estate, you will win in real estate. Guarantee you. 80-20 rule is just understanding that 20% of your work is going to create 80%, 80% of what you earn is going to be spent in 20% of the most effective time you have during the day. So I will tell you, in real estate, a lot of people's minds don't move as fast in the morning. So the opportunity is in the morning. So getting a really good early start, organizing your day, winning your day by noon, and then letting the appointments and those results that you've been driving come in the afternoon. So making sure that you understand that when you look at that list of distractions and prioritize what you must be doing every day, 20% of those is probably going to produce 80% of the results that you're going to want and produce 80% of your income. Small tasks. This is really, really good if you're a big thinker. Write down a lot of your thoughts and start breaking them down into small tasks. Call it 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever you want to do. For me, I like to spend in the morning, I like to say, okay, if I'm going to be calling today, if I'm going to call for sell by owners, I'm probably going to spend 15 minutes reading through scripts and kind of prioritizing in my mind kind of what those conversations and how that flow is going to be like. And I'm going to create a very small task for me, right? And so I'm going to break that down. I'm not just going to go straight into calling and be practicing on the for sale by owners. It's the worst thing you can do. If you're practicing on a for sale by owner live, then you're probably not going to convert them because you haven't been warmed up. It's one of the reasons why we do our huddle text and why people come in the morning and they're pretty damn energized. Fewer distractions. Push distractions away. Write them down. Make a small list. Make a running list. Create fewer distractions in your life. Maybe shut the door. Maybe go to a coffee shop, or put your phone on airplane mode, or not airplane mode, but silent mode. I think that's one thing that I've learned, and using, because this is where you do your business. This is where it comes in. And so creating fewer distractions, prioritizing your Facebook time or your Instagram time, your social media, and that's a distraction. Write it down. Say, I do want to favorite 50 posts today, but why don't you chalk off a good 10, 15 minutes on your calendar at lunch or after lunch, where you're like, what, at that time, I'm going to run through and see how fast I can like and then comment and message and do, 50 likes, 20 comments, and 5 private messages on Facebook. Just prioritize it, right? Get really good at saying no. That is something I tell that you really got, that it was really, really hard for me. I'm a yes person. I love to please everyone. I love it when everyone's happy. But you have to learn to get really good at saying no. And a lot of times saying no is saying no to yourself, because sometimes you may want to stay up extra late to watch that show, like if there's a new Game of Thrones or whatever that show is, or there's these things, but that if you have prioritized your time and you've written down those top 3 things that are going to move the needle in your business, if that means doing them early in the day, then you need to say no to yourself, or say no to the TV, right? Or just something simple, or saying no to checking social media in the morning. Say, I'm not going to check it, or I'm not going to check my email. That's the biggest. Don't check your email until 11, when you do your follow-ups. So focus on working on saying no. And it's kind of fun when you start implementing it into your life and you're like, what, should I say no to that? What's the consequences if I say yes, right? Learn from successful people. that is probably the number one habit I could tell you right now is learn from successful people and hyper learn from successful people. One of the best ways you can do that is through podcasts and Audible and YouTube. I mean, bar none. I'm not much of a reader, like a physical reader. I'm terrible at it. I read really slow. But I will tell you that one of the best things that I've learned is being really good at modeling and pulling some of the gold nuggets that people are really good at that I feel like I could learn. And what are those attributes or those traits that they exude, and how did they? Most people, you'll find out their overnight success is really about 20 years of hard ass work. And so you just want to pull nuggets of what they do and how can you implement that in your business. So learn from successful people and model them. If you have a hard time with your mornings, look at the Miracle Morning. It's a book called The Miracle Morning for Real Estate Agents, originally based off the book The Miracle Morning. And that book will really help you start prioritizing your morning. It's not saying do every single one of the things that he talks about, but you will pull nuggets out of there about developing a really healthy morning routine and how to set your mind right. Because I always, personally, I've got to get my mind right in order for my day to be right? If I'm not working on myself in the morning and then I'm just working on other people with low fuel in the tank, I'm not being the best version of myself, right? So I've got to create the habits that build the production. Repeatable shortcuts. Carter is like the king of this. And repeatable shortcuts, something as simple as a templated text message after a phone call, something as simple as a templated action plan or a campaign within your CRM. Create repeatable shortcuts for follow-up, for text messages. If you do it twice, write it down and then let's talk about it. How in the world, if you feel like, I'm really bogged down trying to get how to continue to carry the conversations with people or really get people to inbound reach out to me, and how do I do that, right? So those are the things that I want to talk about. Like, we can talk about the surface level of what you can do, but what I love is when people come and they want to talk about the nitty-gritty things that piss them off, that are slowing them down. And creating repeatable shortcuts in your business and in your life that are going to help you produce and continue to build your business. Don't multitask. I'm the worst multitasker in the world, so I have no problem with this. I think women claim to be the best multitaskers, but I will say, don't multitask. Focus on what you're doing. Like I said, put your phone on focus mode and go to town and see how successful you can be within the hour. It's always fun to figure out what your dollar per hour is, and it's kind of cool to watch that grow. And what I mean by that is, if you've been in the business for 6 months and you know that you've called or you've been prospecting for sell by owners, and let's just say you don't know how long you've been calling for sell by owners, but you know how many for sell by owners you call, right? Let's just say you closed a couple transactions. What you do is you just take those for sell by owners and you divide your commissions earned by that, and that will tell you how valuable those phone calls are for you, those connections, those people. And so really, don't multitask, and just really focus on one piece of the business at a time. The rest will fall in. It won't fall into place, but you will get to a point where you can continue to stack and build your skills. Recharge, fill the tank, go to bed, take a break. I think one thing most people get obsessed with or exhausted with is prospecting. Take a break. Figure out what works for you. I used to do 45 minutes on, 15 minutes off. I think that's a very wise decision to always fill your tank back up, recharge yourself, get a good night's rest. I try to be in bed by 10 and I'm up by 5. And for me, that 7 hours is like the ideal recharge time for me. And it's just kind of a trial and error, but making sure that you're taking breaks through the day, you're eating good food, your intakes, this is more than just a real estate sale. What I want you to really get out of this is how to take care of yourself, right? It's not just about sales, it's about taking care of yourself. So recharge. And because if you don't recharge yourself, the people that you surround yourself with, that are your family, they will despise you if you just feel like shit all the time. Sharpen the axe. And that kind of goes with learning from successful people. And another part of sharpening the axe would be role playing, or as I used to do, I used to not really have many people to role play with at all. So I used to just record myself on my iPhone and listen to it over and again. And then I'd try and make it better the next time. Or talk to yourself in the mirror if you want to get real awkward, or record yourself and put yourself out there on YouTube or Instagram or Facebook. I'm not a big, I've tried the TikTok thing. I'm not very good at it, but I'm not much of a dancer. But, make sure you're working on what you're doing, and always asking questions, sharpen your axe. If you're like, Alex, I've been doing this for sell by owner script, and I'm really having some issues with this. And people always I always tell people about the magic question you can use on anybody. And I always like to cater everything to sharpen that question for me. So that magic question is, if you knew for certain that by doing business with me, two things would happen. One is that you're going to make, one is that your home's going to sell, and number two is that you're going to walk away with way, way more money, bottom line, than you're going to make any other way. And if you knew that were true, would you at least want to hear more about it? And some people will have some problems with that question. And sometimes it's in the setup, sometimes it's in the delivery. And we always want to work on how are we sharpening that axe, and how do we get you guys to the appointment to ultimately convert the client. And lastly on habits is managing your time and energy. There's a lot of great apps for this. There's a lot of great resources on YouTube, online, that you guys can find to help you manage your time. I like to manage my mornings, and in the afternoons, it's more of a hope and wish for me personally, but I like to be home by 5, and I like to get everything done by 5. But in the morning time, it's really important that I'm focused on the things that I know that are going to change me and my family and my team's business, and all of you guys is, focusing on you, and focusing on your production and making sure that I'm pouring into you guys. And then I'm also pouring into myself and also prospecting. Which I have a hard time finding time for. So I've got to continue to organize it. So don't think that I have all this together by any means. I can talk a big show, but I'm always working on myself. Carter can attest to that. Any questions about habits? That was a lot. Or anybody want to add anything to habits?
I was going to say just one thing, which was, and one of the speakers said, on average, we waste about 5 hours of our time every day. And that's things through TV, scrolling through social media, stuff like that. So if you're conscious of that and you want to build better habits, like you said, turn the TV off and work on some of those habits.
That's right. Yeah, those, I know my wife used to kill me. She'd be like, will you please come to bed? And I've just been like, you'll never believe what I just figured out. It's 1 a.m. Okay, moving into your environment. So this one's much shorter than the habits. I felt like the habits was just so important. But your environment, so your social circle, everybody pretty much knows this quote: you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I had a conversation with Carter this week and talked to him a little bit about that quote and how much it's always meant to me. It's a Jim Rohn quote. If you don't know who Jim Rohn is, you need to Google him and learn. He's like the godfather of personal motivation to me, because when I was a kid, I grew up with a mom that did multi-level marketing, and she was always big about pumping herself up and motivation and self-development. And she would take me to multi-level marketing meetings. And so I learned a lot. I used to subliminally, she used to put the books on tape in the car and hit play, and she would never play music that I wanted to listen to. She made me sit there and boringly listen to Jim Rohn. And so, but I will say I have a tremendous amount of pride in that part of my life now, and love my mom to death for putting that in my life. But you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If you're not getting the results that you want currently, improve the people that you surround yourself with. I always feel like whenever I come to an event like this, where there's a couple billionaires in the room and a bunch of millionaires, for some reason, when I get home, my business goes out the roof. Like, it's incredible the amount of production that happens when I come home from something like this. So it's just really Austin Matthews. I'm surrounded by toddlers. Dude, I'm with you. I've got a 4 and a 2-year-old. Yeah, the toddlers will get you. But making sure that you are really focused on that. And that doesn't mean, and I'll tell you one thing that really kind of changed me was when I changed my lunch meetings. When I decided to stop eating lunch alone and I just started deciding to have lunch with people that were other professionals that were kicking ass in their industries, or they're doing it at a high level. I felt like when I started surrounding myself with them, I started to upgrade the level of people that I was working with, the recognition around them, the name recognition, start building a network, a sphere, and those people will absolutely rub off on you. I've got several great friends in my life, but I don't that aren't doing the things in the places of where I want to go, and I love them to death, and there is their time and place. But for my focus and for my family, I want to put myself in the room where I am the dumbest cat asking questions. I'm going, please tell me I'm not going to ask a dumb question. And we did that last night. Me and Carter got to hang out with a guy that was 37 years old that manages $3 billion in capital.
4 billion.
My bad, 4 billion.
This guy was an absolute savage.
But you know what? I didn't. Carter is the king of working a room, so he went and he chatted him up for a minute. But but I was on the side. I was on the side chatting with a guy that's an investor with him, and these guys are talking about their systems, their processes, how they built their business, these things that they tweaked in their business, these little things. And so I'm looking for those nuggets. I'm literally just digging through, trying to find how in the hell did this guy get in this room, right? And so, and the more you're curious and the more questions you ask, the better you're going to do in this business. And that goes with prospecting. It all starts with prospecting and asking great questions that are going to lead the client to making a decision, right? That's the key. You want them to make a decision, ask the right questions. Work and living space. You want your workspace and your living space to reflect your goals and ambitions, values, and mindsets. Austin, I love my kids, but I can't work around them. I've got to put myself in an environment that reflects my goals and my ambitions. Because when I get to the office, I've got a lot of responsibilities to the people on my team and my business partner. And that reflects my goals and ambitions. It drives me. And I have a home office that I go into that I paid a lot of money to make a YouTube setup that when I go in there, I'm pumped. I've got the purple lights, you name it, the nice camera, the microphone, and that environment is what really pushes me to put myself out there and really start building a business. I mean, we heard a guy talk on YouTube, and I'm not the greatest at YouTube, but at least I put it out there, and it does drive plenty of business to our company. And I feel like an idiot when I do it, but you know what? People don't care as long as you give them the content. The only person that cares is you. That's about it. I tell everybody I'm a double chin 35-year-old dad of 2 girls. I'm a mom. I'm a girl dad through and through. They're finally all in daycare school, and it's been so much better to work from home, from my home office. And that's important, man. You know what I did is I actually went and got a quote from Brent Gove from our last event with him, the guy that hosts this big event we're at. And the quote that stuck with me was, "The enemy is the inner me." And I actually have it blown up on a sticker on my wall. And I love looking at that sticker because every time I see it, it's a reminder that the only person that is beating me down is right here. But it's the 6 inches between these 2 ears. And that's the only thing that is stopping me from being the person that I want to be. They talked about greatness at this conference and how to be great, how to earn the right to be great, and how to go through the process and just like these slides are talking about how to create production, and doing that through transforming yourself first, implementing the habits of success and the things that are going to drive the needle in your business, and put yourself in the environment to cultivate that, to motivate you, because you can only self-motivate yourself for so long. And very few people can really keep themselves self-motivated for so long. We are human beings. We are meant to love others. We are meant to create tribes. We are meant to create environments. Put yourself in the right environment with the right people, and you will start to see your business accelerate. I'm telling you, it was life-changing for me when I started to do that. Any questions about environment, or any questions that we can answer? That was pretty much the presentation today on production. I didn't really get into any nitty-gritty like scripts or anything like that, but I really wanted to work on you guys as individuals and let that kind of simmer in, because that's where you need to begin. Not everybody at once.
What was y'all's, I guess, number one takeaway from the entire event, or the number one golden nugget?
We haven't gotten to Tony Robbins yet, so I don't know if
Okay.
Yeah, we see Tony Robbins today, so if we're this pumped already,
Yeah.
I gotta wear a shirt that I don't mind ripping, because I'm probably gonna lose it. I heard it's like a rock concert.
Yeah. I'd like to kind of answer. I don't know that I've necessarily gotten one nugget. I mean, it's literally, I said it when we started this, there's been about 8 that I can think of right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been a combination of what speakers have said, and then meeting some people that are successful. There's one guy that stands out to me though as really awesome, which was that Hoss Pratt guy.
Oh.
Actually, well, him and Terrence Murphy, those 2 guys right there. Hoss Pratt though,
I would hate to be in Terrence Murphy's market.
man,
He would crush. He's a monster.
He's just very impressive. So what Hoss Pratt though said is you need to find some niche and then just go all in.
That's Hoss Pratt.
And he was like, basically, if you want to call for sale by owners, and that you want that to be your thing, and you feel like talking to for sale by owners, you're really good at it, then you need to freaking call every for sale by owner you possibly can get into. I don't necessarily think that would work for an entire business model for Auburn, since we don't have a massive amount, constant stream. Maybe a combination of like expireds and for sale by owners, and then you basically that's what you focus on every day. And he just basically says, stop trying to be good at a lot of different things and spreading yourself out, and then trying to talk to buyers and run all over the place. Or, if you want to be a listing agent for sale by owners and expireds, then be the best one in your whole city. And that's what you do. And just pound it and learn everything you can possibly learn. So I think go in as deep as you possibly can on picking a niche where you feel like you are the strongest, and then just be the master at that, and then stop trying to be the master of everything.
Absolutely. That was a good takeaway.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Because I found myself kind of grasping at a lot of different things, 7 or 8 different strategies, and are continually switching strategies, because I think one works or one doesn't, but just stick with a couple or one.
Yep. Here's a question from Matt. What are some things that you recommend to keep in your home office that help you with productivity and mindset? Number one, I like to keep some type of tactical reference book. I buy them all the time. I've got a couple different books that I've bought over the years or listened to. I think having your notes, honestly, I'm a messy person, and I love my notes or sticky pads or whatever, my Post-its, I put them down. I always try to keep stuff in front of me that's going to kind of check me a little bit. Another thing that's super important about your home office is getting a damn door on it, and making sure you're shutting out that outside environment. Don't bring anything else in there that you don't need, right? Cut out the distractions. Bring literally just a cup of water, your computer, a notepad, a pen, and your phone, and go to town. As far as that goes. And I think it's just important that that you have made, and this is where it comes into, you have to be accountable to yourself a little bit and say, when I go in that room, I'm going to work. When I go in that room, I'm going to work. And I'm not in there to dick around on Instagram, right? That's not what I'm doing. If I'm on Instagram, it's because I'm doing a video. I'm putting something out there. If I'm on Facebook, it's because I'm going to go like 50 people, put 20 comments out there and hit 5 people up in the DMs, right? So just making sure that you have, because it's really easy. And this is where the accountability and the environment comes into play, because it's easy to put yourself and tell yourself you're going to be in that environment. But if you're the type of person just like me that slips all the time, slipping all the time, that you allow yourself to, I'm going to go to the kitchen and grab some food. Next thing I know, I'm sitting on the couch. Next thing you know, the TV's on. Next thing you know, my phone's on. But it sure as hell isn't making any money, right? So for home environment, know that you're going to write that off on taxes. Make it your work environment. So that would be, and honestly, there's probably invest some money into your home office. I never did that. Honestly, I made the most money ever on a 3-foot cardboard table that Mary Gill knows about, and me and Mary Gill always joked about, is that I've made more money on a cardboard table than any other way in my business, because I used to take that thing to every open house that I worked at, and I would sit at it. I would take it everywhere I go, and it was also my home office desk. And still to this day, actually, I record all of my YouTube videos on that desk. I don't even own an expensive desk at my house. It's literally a cardboard table. The most expensive thing I have is a camera. But that's my money producing item. Like, to me, it's a humble beginning. And that's something I look at every time I walk into my office. I'm like, okay, there's the cardboard table. It's time to get to work. So to me, that's just a reminder of how hard I've got to work. Hope that
I have
answers.
a question.
Go for it.
Did any of them mention what their biggest lead source has been so far? Or has it more been mindset?
Yeah, they talked about it. Most of the
Mhm.
8 talked about their lead source, and they talked about exactly what they're doing. That's what I'm saying. This one guy, I'm Alex, I'm telling you, I'm about to start doing this. This guy does open houses like almost every day. Okay. And instead of like me working in my home office, he's like just do an open house. Like, he did an open house one every single day for 30 days to try and get the data to figure out the most effective times and days of the week to do open houses. And then his success rate, he put this whole data behind it. And he said, man, I had more people showing up on a Thursday at lunch than I did doing an open house all day on Sunday. And so it got me thinking. I was like, man, I sit in my house, in my office, because it's quiet and I can make calls. But if I can sit in an open house and still make the calls and get stuff done, and in between calls, I'm face to face with people that are actively motivated and want to buy, you're 2 birds, 1 stone right there.
I know.
And this getting so many leads from that, on top of the other tips and tricks that he gave us as well of what he's doing. I mean, I was like, well, that makes a ton of sense. And he just said he does a ton of open houses.
Yeah, we met little Tim Dodge yesterday, who puts out 70 signs for every open house. It has them numbered.
He said, I put out a ton. It takes him an hour to put all the signs out, but he sits in the open house from like 10 a.m. to 3, or like during his from prospecting hours, and he gets all of his work done at that house. so I can be done at 3 every day, and I could stay in somebody's house.
So
But
that's
I
how,
think
that's
people
how
that-
that's how Mary Gill and I started. Is we would do open houses. That was when the builders they didn't really have their own inside sales agencies, and Mary Gill and I would sit in model homes 5 to 6 days a week, and we'd sit in them 4 to 5 hours, and there was always a desk in there. And for me, I was doing a triple line dialer through Mojo Sales, and so I would have a triple line dialer calling every house in Auburn, and if someone walked in, I would just hang up the phone and go see who was there. But Mary Gill and I will tell you, our best clients by far came from open houses when we started in real estate. So because you get belly to belly with people that have shown motivation to purchase. And better yet, it's always best when it's someone that's a nosy neighbor that just wants to know how much you're selling the house for. Because you end up just following up, you get the listing.
I mean, the guy that I was going to tell you too, Sophia, the guy that manages the $4 billion in assets, he started off door knocking and was an agent and was just door knocking like crazy. And he actually got to the point where he was going on so many listing appointments. He hired a driver and was driving him around, and he was going to these appointments, following up on emails while he's in the car. And then fast forward to today, his driver is one of his top agents. And I thought that was just interesting. Like, people were so astonished. I had attorneys coming up to me asking me, "Oh my God, you door knocked?" And I door knocked one neighborhood like twice, but nobody does it in Auburn. So I think for me, I'm about to go hard on these open houses and freaking door knocking. That's gonna be my focus. And
so everybody just understand the scale of this. This guy he had 250 listings at one time, at any time, from door knocking.
Yeah,
250 listings. This guy has sold 28,000 homes in the past. How long, Carter? His team has 18 agents, and they sold 2,600 homes last year.
yeah. And they're on pace to do like 2,600. Every agent.
Savages. Austin Matthews, and we got just a little bit more time. I'm going to respect everyone's time. We're not going past 10. Austin Matthews says, has anyone had success with open houses since COVID? Yes. Open houses really sucked before, but people are getting back out there. Don't listen to anything the media tells you about this stuff. To be honest with you, go do open houses. People buy houses every single day. As long as you're in the way or you're in the conversation, you're going to get to the closing table. I highly suggest doing them. Not to say you have to have 70 signs, but go do open houses. Go do Facebook Lives at your open house. Dina Simmons in LaGrange is crushing it with Facebook Live and open houses. She's crushing it. And she's a brand new agent. Brand new. She was a dental hygienist.
My best client I ever had, I think I did 5 transactions, and I met him at an open house at Shashank's house.
Yeah. It's I've done from open houses. Mary Gill and I have created some serious lifelong clients, and then one of my best clients, who I've done several transactions and I'm really good friends with him now, was a for sale by owner that no agent. He said he got like 30 calls from agents to list his house, and they drive by and they tell him it wasn't worth anything. And I was the only agent that went in and did an actual presentation. He listed it with me, and now he's bought a home over $700,000 with me. So, and that house was $100,000. So there are huge opportunities if you guys just dive deep on what you want to do. And like I said, after this call, this isn't super it's tactical for yourself to work on yourself and really start. The key is what I want you guys to get out of today is that I want you guys to start asking yourself the right questions. What am I doing every day? What are the things that I could change in my life? What are the things that I could cut out? If I made a list tonight and told myself I was going to get this done by 8 a.m. tomorrow. Will I do it? There's a great book, Organize Tomorrow Today, that I've read this year, and it's really changed the way my days go. And it's about picking the top 3 things and writing it down the day before and doing it right after lunch, hopefully. I usually typically do it around dinner time, but writing down the top 3 things that you know by doing those things, it's going to move the needle in your business and maybe or even in your personal life. If it's in your personal life and it really helps build your business, it's important to focus on those things. So pick the top 3 things and then pick one and circle it. So I'll go ahead and tell you guys, for me, my top 3 things every day, my number 1 thing that I have to do every day is my huddle text to the team, because that's my responsibility to those people. And for me, that's the most important. When I wake up, I go to the gym, I'm feeding myself energy, I'm feeding myself motivation, education, and then I have a responsibility to the agents on our team to send that text to them to make sure they get it out there. Now, I am trying to figure out a way to make sure I can do that for everybody in our organization. If you guys have any thoughts or ideas around that, I'd love to do that. Maybe it's through GroupMe or Slack or something. We could start something somewhere like that. But just to let you guys know, I do send out a text every day to our team called the Huddle Text, and it's a celebration of what we did the day before, an educational piece, an icebreaker question for a conversation, and then a motivational quote or biblical reference. So I hope you guys will get something out of that. It is 9:58, so we have less than 2 minutes. Are there any other questions or comments or anything you guys have? Favorite color? Look at him, red. Thanks for hopping on here, Austin. Glad you got on. Let's see if there's any questions on Facebook real quick. Kay McKinney, amazing content. I truly need to implement all these things. Already downloaded the book on Audible. That's awesome. What's up, Zach? Justin Harbin, that's a big one, to say no to yourself. That is huge. It's probably the hardest thing you'll do. All right, guys. So if you don't have any more questions, we're going to end this bad boy. This is recorded. I finally got one recorded. I will upload this to YouTube. I'll post the link in the X Team chat, or if you want it emailed to you, I'll send it to you that way. If you guys want that slide deck, let me know as well. I just made it this morning, so it's amazingly custom. But I really appreciate you guys hopping on today, and also on the X Team Facebook page that we're watching as well. Super glad everyone could join us. So thank you guys, and I hope you level up your business. Peace.